In the future, mankind uses genetic technology so that all people stop aging when they reach the age of 25. After that, everyone has exactly 1 year to live, but this time can be increased by receiving a salary or exchanging with other people. In this world, time is really money. Its amount is reflected on a timer on your wrist. While the rich enjoy eternal youth, the poor live literally 1 day at a time. But it's only a matter of time before a hero appears who will want to break this rotten system. This is Z Movie Recaps. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Will Salas wakes up at home. He's only 28, but once again he has less than 24 hours left on his timer. Today is his mother Rachel's birthday. She turns 50. But they don't have time to celebrate. The woman also has only 3 days left, and more than half of it she has to pay off her apartment bills and a loan. Will promises to earn enough so they can rest easy. Rachel is going to work too, and they agree to meet the next evening. By then, the woman's time will be running out, and her son will have to share his with her. On the way, Will meets a little beggar Maya. She asks for a minute of time, and the boy generously gives her 5. Will runs to the Time Wallet factory, where he meets his best friend Boral. They buy coffee, which has gone up in price by a minute since yesterday, and see men on the street fighting for time in hand wrestling. Will's father used to time wrestle, but his son refuses to take that risk. At the end of the day, Will gets his paycheck, but it's lower than he expected. Will goes to a bar where he takes from an acquaintance of a card player an hour that the man owed him. A tipsy Boral points out Henry, a rich man who has been serving drinks to customers all evening. Will approaches him and tries to reason. If you draw so much attention to yourself in this neighborhood, you will be robbed very quickly. Confirmation of the words of the guy in the bar appear gangsters led by Fortis. At the sight of gangsters, visitors immediately vacate the room, but will remain to watch the development of events. Fortis says that he wants to wrestle for a century, which he wears on Henry's wrist. From excitement, the man starts to vomit and runs to the restroom. One of Fortis's men makes sure he doesn't escape, and then Will appears and knocks out the bandit. Henry confesses that he is 105 years old and sick of everything. His body is young, but his mind is not what it used to be. Will is annoyed and doesn't understand how one can be so careless about time. He asks if the rich man has seen other people die, and Henry replies that this is how the poor pay for the immortality of millionaires. There would be enough time for everyone, but someone has to die to avoid overpopulation. But some people aren't going to die and are saving millions of years for themselves and their children. Henry asks Will what he would do if he had as much time on his hands as he does. Waking up in the morning, Will discovers that while he slept, Henry handed him 116 years. The man left himself 5 minutes to get to the nearest bridge where he meets his death. Will doesn't even have time to say goodbye and is caught on camera slugging on the bridge. Afterwards, he goes to Boral's house where he meets his wife with a newborn baby in her arms. It will be 25 years before the baby can share his moments with his poor parents. Will tells his friend about the events of a previous night and shares 10 years of his life with him. After a short while, Boral goes to a bar to drink them away. Meanwhile, Will's mother is paying off her loans and has only an hour and a half to see her son. Rachel begs the driver and passengers to give her some time to pay for her son at the bus stop, but no one helps her. The loan office has already closed, and the woman starts running to stay ahead of death. Will realizes that the mother has not boarded the buses and also rushes towards her. The next day, the timekeepers who are investigating the crime retrieve Henry's body from the river. Raymond, the chief of them, orders them to search for the time, which has gone in an unknown direction. He notices the cameras and later finds Will's face on the tape, and the guy already orders a cab to cross several time zones separating people with money from the poor. Every time at the border, he pays more and more until he reaches New Greenwich, where a ticket costs a year. When Will gets out of the car, he immediately starts running because he is used to spending as little time as possible on moving around. He catches stares and realizes that he must not stand out among those who own all the time in the world. The strange guy is noticed by a girl with red hair who gets into a limousine. Will checks into a luxurious room, and if at a local restaurant, the waitress notices that Will is not from around here because he swallows his food very quickly. Will tips her for a whole week, and the girl advises him to change his suit. Raymond gets information about Will and his movements. The man realizes that he knew his father. Will in a new suit comes to the casino and sits down at the poker table. There he meets billionaire Philip, who praises the game of his new acquaintance. The two of them stay in the draw, and Philip raises the stakes each time, forcing Will to put on the line everything he has won at the table. The rich man is joined by red-haired Sylvia, who has been watching Will all this time. She is shocked by the courage of the guy, who has only 30 seconds left on his wrist. The last card closes with Strit, who turns out to be stronger than Philip's three ladies. Will becomes the owner of the whole millennium. The girl invites Salas to a party, and Will arrives there in a newly bought sports car with a price of 59 years. Sylvia and her grandmother and mother greet him on the doorstep. The girl sends away the guards who follow her around, and Will dances. She remembers how the guy ran down the street and says that sometimes poor people are envied because her life is boring and meaningless. In response, Will invites her to follow him into the air. The mansion is on the ocean, and the guy offers to go into the water. Sylvia has never done this before, although she lives a stone's throw away. She feels the adrenaline and dives in. The girl is still hesitant to kiss the guy she doesn't know at all, and returns to the shore. The young people manage to hide their adventure from Philip, who invites Will to play poker. Suddenly, the time guards appear in the mansion and take the guy away for questioning. Raymond does not believe the story about Henry's donation, and Salah's time is confiscated, leaving him only 2 hours to complete the protocols. Raymond is stunned by this question because 20 years ago Will's father asked him the same question. The guy is about to be taken to the station, but he attacks the guards and takes the gun. Then he takes Sylvia hostage and puts her in the car, followed by Raymond, who rams and turns Will's car around. The guy makes the pursuer collide with a truck, and the young people hide under a bridge. Will asks Sylvia to share time, but she refuses. The girl also suspects him of killing Henry. They end up in Will's native ghetto, and get trapped by Fortis and his men. A car flies off the road, and both lose consciousness. Fortis takes Sylvia's time and leaves her with only 30 minutes to spare. When they wake up, the young men divide the time to make up for their time. 3 minutes before they die, Will knocks on Boral's door. Will in despair, Sylvia panics. Suddenly, the guy realizes that it is possible to pawn the girl's earrings in a pawn shop. The owner gives for them only 2 days, but there is no time to bargain on the tale of the time guards. The credit organization, in which Will's mother took money, turns out to be the business of Sylvia's father. The guy makes a call to Philip to demand a ransom for his daughter, but Raymond picks up the phone. Will wants 1,000 years to be transferred to a charity organization that gives time to all the needy in his hometown. It must be done by tomorrow. Raymond warns that the boy will soon end up like his father. All his life Will believed that his father died in a routine fight, but Raymond claims that this is not the case, but does not reveal details. The fugitives spend the night at Will's apartment. Sylvia changes into his mother's dress, and the boy tells about his relatives. His father won a lot of fights, but he was killed for giving time to people in trouble. Sylvia and Will are almost the same age. When the timer starts, the guy has wasted the whole year in a week. In the morning, they watch the queue at the charity organization. Everything happens as usual, which means that Philip refused to comply with the requirements. Despite this, Will escorts Sylvia to the phone vending machine and gives her a gun so that she can return home herself. The girl is worried about the fate of the guy and kisses him goodbye. Will stays nearby and is found by Raymond. Sylvia notices the gun in the hands of the timekeeper and shoots ahead of him. Will examines the wounded man and sees that he has only 2 hours left. Instead of taking them, the guy gives Raymond 2 more of his own so that his colleagues can find him. The young men steal the guard's car, but they are still running out of time, and the police car attracts too much attention. Will blocks the way of a cab driver who is driving a rich lady in a limousine. After robbing her and taking her car, the couple get away from the scene of the crime and later see themselves on the news. Sylvia could still use the role of victim and get away with it, but she doesn't want to do that. For the first time in her life, she feels that she is living life to the fullest, and passion ignites between her and Will. Raymond reports to Philip that his daughter has become an accomplice to a criminal and he will arrest her at the first opportunity. The millionaire offers to settle the matter with a bribe, but the unbribed Raymond leaves, threatening to arrest him as well. Meanwhile, Will teaches Sylvia how to handle a gun, and the girl decides to help him realize his plan to restore justice. They fly a truck into one of Philip's bank branches and empty the vault in front of a crowd of visitors. Later, Will gives time to the wife of his dead friend May and charitable organizations. Raymond thinks they're doing the ghetto a disservice, and to prove his point, there is more violence on the streets of the ghetto. Locals buy guns to defend themselves against Fortis, and the bandit fires back. Precious years are lost in a deadly shootout. A 10-year reward is announced for catching the bank robbers, and Fortis is intent on making a killing. Philip doesn't understand why Sylvia went against him, and his wife explains that he smothered his daughter with his love. That same night, Raymond and his men surround the motels where the fugitives are hiding. Will hears the pursuers just in time, and the couple jumps out of the window to escape. Only Raymond manages to catch up with him, and Will has to shoot back. The young people get on a bus, bribing the driver with a large sum of money so that they will not be reported to the police. But they do not manage to hide for long, and in a new motel they are overtaken by Fortis. The bandit is not happy because he wants to return the old order, which broke Will. But Fortis gives credit to the guy and offers to honestly find out in a fight who of them is stronger. Will realizes that it's a trick, but accepts the challenge. The guy uses his father's tactics. He lets his rival take almost all his time, and he lets his guard down, anticipating victory. At the last moment, Will turns the outcome in his favor. The bandits' henchmen come to the table to intervene, but Will snatches the hidden gun and kills them. Only Fortis is left, who dies after losing all his time. Will and Sylvia are free again, but their triumph is short-lived. To make up for the time the poor have gotten for nothing, the rich just jack up the prices. All the efforts of the new Robin Hood turn out to be even. Will says that only 1,000,000 years will truly change the situation, and Sylvia suggests to try to do the impossible. The next day, she comes to her father and assures him that she wants to surrender. A crowd of bodyguards protects Philip, but among them hides Will, who gets close to the man and takes him hostage. The couple sneaks into the vault and takes the wallet with 1,000,000 summers. Philip says that in a few generations everything will go back to normal because everyone wants to live forever and will be willing to sacrifice with others. Just not everyone is ready to admit it. Will can't contain his anger and almost shoots the man in front of his daughter, but stops himself. He will defend to the end those from whom such scoundrels as Philip steal time. The young men leave, and Raymond detects the movement of a huge sum on his radar. He tries to stop the fugitives and close the borders, but Will and Sylvia break through the cordon with an armored car. Raymond continues the chase and catches up with them in the ghetto. Will gets out of the car and is immediately approached by May. He keeps only an hour and gives the girl 1,000,000 years to distribute to everyone. People prevent Raymond from arresting Will and Sylvia and share the time with each other so it can't be confiscated. Raymond gets into his car and catches up with the couple again. The man admits that he too has escaped poverty, but still believes in a system that maintains the gap between rich and poor. However, in the heat of the chase, he has completely forgotten about his time, which the guards always take with them at the drop of a hat. Raymond drops dead, but Will and Sylvia's timer is also nearing zero. The guy wants to give his minute to get the girl to her destination, but she refuses. Then Will realizes that Raymond's car can be restocked. Will gets there first and takes the coveted watch. Sylvia is late and the guy has to rush back to her. At the last moment, she throws herself into Will's arms to save herself from being killed. Thanks to their actions, the boundaries of the time zones start to blur and people migrate wherever they want. The time guards are about to intervene, but their new boss orders them to go home. Sylvia and Will go on and load their pistols again. Write in the comments how many years you would like to have in reserve in this world and how you would use them, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like for cool stories to come out as often as possible.